Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Day, 1642, in a small village in England. From a young age, he was fascinated by the world around him. One day, little Isaac built a small windmill powered by a mouse. The villagers were amazed at the boy's clever invention. Despite his intelligence, Newton was a quiet and reserved child. He spent hours observing the world rather than playing with other children. One afternoon, he climbed a tree to watch the clouds. Suddenly, he fell, landing in a pile of hay and laughed it off. His mother wanted him to become a farmer, but Newton had other plans. He was sent to Cambridge University to study. At Cambridge, he was more interested in experimenting than attending lectures. One day, he made a sundial and placed it in his room. Newton's classmates found him odd but brilliant. He would often be lost in thought, mumbling to himself. During a plague outbreak, the university closed and Newton returned home. At home, he continued his experiments in the garden. One day, while sitting under a tree, an apple fell on his head. Why did it fall straight down? Newton wondered aloud. This simple question led to the concept of gravity. Newton began writing down his ideas in a notebook. He worked tirelessly, forgetting to eat or sleep. His mother would often find him asleep at his desk. Newton's dog, Diamond, was his only companion during these times. One day, Diamond knocked over a candle, burning Newton's papers. Instead of getting angry, Newton simply started again. He was determined to understand the laws of nature. Newton invented calculus to solve complex mathematical problems. His work laid the foundation for modern mathematics. Despite his achievements, Newton remained humble and quiet. He rarely shared his discoveries with others. In 1687, he published his most famous work, the Principium Mathematica. The Principium explained the laws of motion and universal gravitation. It was a groundbreaking work that changed science forever. Newton's fame grew, but he preferred solitude. He spent hours in his study, lost in thought. One night, he discovered the color spectrum by shining light through a prism. Colors are simply different wavelengths of light, he realized. Newton's experiments with light led to the invention of the reflecting telescope. He was appointed Master of the Mint, where he reformed the currency. Despite his success, Newton faced many challenges in his life. He had a fierce rivalry with the mathematician Gottfried Leibniz. The two men argued over who invented calculus first. Newton was also deeply religious and spent time studying theology. He believed his scientific work was a way to understand God's creation. In his later years, Newton became more reclusive. He rarely left his home, spending most of his time in study. Despite his solitude, Newton remained curious about the world. He once traveled to London to see a new scientific invention. He was fascinated by the new steam engines being developed. This could change the world, Newton thought. He visited the Royal Society, where he discussed ideas with other scientists. Newton enjoyed visiting the coffee houses of London. He would sit quietly, listening to the conversations around him. His love for science never faded, even in old age. Newton once traveled to Paris to meet other great thinkers of his time. He was impressed by the beauty and culture of the city. He spent days exploring museums and libraries. Newton was always searching for new knowledge. He once climbed the Great Pyramid of Giza during a trip to Egypt. At the top, he marveled at the ancient engineering. The ancients knew much, Newton reflected, but there's still more to discover. His travels inspired him to continue his work in science. Newton believed that knowledge was the key to understanding the universe. He once spent hours studying the stars from a mountain in Italy. "The heavens declare the glory of God," he whispered. Newton's passion for discovery never waned. In his final years, he returned to his home in Woolsthorpe. He spent his days in quiet contemplation and study. Newton's mind was as sharp as ever, even in old age. He continued to write and experiment until his last days. On his deathbed, Newton reflected on his life's work. "I was like a boy playing on the seashore," he said, "finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, while the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." Newton passed away peacefully in 1727. His legacy lived on in the scientific community. He was buried in Westminster Abbey, honored as one of the greatest minds in history. Today, Newton is remembered as a pioneer of science. His discoveries continue to influence the world. From gravity to optics, his work laid the foundation for modern physics. Newton's life was a testament to the power of curiosity and perseverance. He taught us that even the simplest questions can lead to profound discoveries. Newton's life story is a reminder that greatness often begins with a single question. He showed that with determination, anything is possible. Newton's love for learning inspired generations of scientists. His life was filled with moments of discovery and wonder. From falling apples to distant stars, Newton explored it all. His journey was one of constant curiosity and exploration. Newton's story is a beacon of inspiration for anyone who seeks knowledge. He proved that the pursuit of truth is the noblest of all endeavors. Today, we stand on the shoulders of giants like Newton. His life reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never ending. Newton's legacy lives on in every scientific discovery. He showed that the universe is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Newton's life was a blend of brilliance, curiosity, and humility. He was a man who looked beyond the ordinary to find the extraordinary. His story teaches us to always ask questions and seek answers. Newton's life is a journey that continues to inspire. The world owes much to this quiet, curious man who changed it forever. Isaac Newton's life was a testament to the power of the human mind.